This is not the story of the One. The One encompasses too much, crushing everything and making it the same. No, this is the story of the many, who are blessed with difference and rich in strangeness. This is the story of a family. Run, something inside him said, run. The great crushing thing, the great cylinder, had stopped. Perhaps it was safe here for a little while. How quickly it learned to use its legs and its trunk. But these things were not so much learned as they were remembered. Perhaps the little Trebhum thought they were a gift from the strange voice it heard in its mind. That too was a kind of memory. Just when it was starting to get used to its legs, the food from the jumping creature gave it new ones. With the right substance as a catalyst, a Trebhum can transform and adapt to many challenges. The Trebhum was drawn to a bright light, or perhaps to the creature next to it. Except for the grass growing on the old one's head, they were very much alike. Surrounded by this light, the Trebhum knew things it had not known before. It knew the older Trebhum had carried this light for a long, long time, and it knew that now that responsibility had passed to the next generation. Yes, this young Trebhum had to carry the light to those great towers in the distance. It could have stayed here to learn many old things, but the cylinder would not allow it. Run, the inner voice said, run! The towers would not stop the cylinder unless they were activated. Quickly, the Trebhum had to step on the symbol or the cylinder would not be stopped. The voice inside the Trebhum's memories assured it that while the tower stood, the Trebhum would be safe. The power of the eternal cylinder was contained for now. The egg had been abandoned, but it could still be made to hatch. All that was needed was a source of heat. Another Trebhum was a cause for joy, but this new friend was not well. Deep inside the memories it had inherited, the Trebhum found the answer. To recover, its friend needed a very specific substance which appeared as glittering clusters of crystal dust. This dust was not natural. Only a great Trebhum could create it. And so it was on the achievements of previous generations that the newborn Trebhum would have to rely. Luckily, it seemed a wise and powerful Trebhum had passed through here some time ago. This ancient statue transferred knowledge to the Trebhum. It was as if a memory had been stored inside it, waiting for someone to absorb it. And as soon as this knowledge had entered their minds, the Trebhum realized that there was a great library of information hidden away in the web of their memories. But why was the knowledge of a specific ingredient placed here in this Trebhum made of stone? Inside the cave, the Trebhum found a living elder. It had been waiting in this chamber for a long, long time. The elder told them it was happy to see some friends before the cylinder came. It said, "You are young, so you never knew the time when our people could shapeshift at will. We Trebhum are inheritors of a vast tree of abilities, abilities passed on to all future Trebhum. But this power is being taken away. Beware the servants of the cylinder. They will seek to hurt you at every opportunity, and they have the power to rob you of your abilities. But if you persevere, one day you will find a way to protect yourselves from their evil light. Farewell, my brave friends. I fear I am too old and tired to join you. May you find a way to prosper in this time of struggles." Each of their many tasks, to find their Trebhum siblings, to restore the powers their people had lost. And it all seemed a little daunting. But even when they are afraid, Trebhum are stubborn. The cylinder resumed its destruction. Nothing could stop it forever. They needed to roll to safety, to find another tower to protect them quickly. The Trebhum found themselves almost as lost as they had been in the beginning. But the voice in their memories comforted them. It was only natural to be confused, it said. They had been born into a strange, broken world, cut off from the history of their ancestors. Everyone was a little lost these days. What mattered was to keep going, to keep looking for answers, to keep carrying the light they held within them, the light that stopped the cylinder. In this strange, eerie temple, the Trebhum felt something stir in their memories. There was a great power in this place, something from the days when even the elders were young. Perhaps it could help them. The Trebhum were disoriented for a moment. Something new had entered their memories and they needed to make sense of it. It seemed to be a map. And on this map, a location had been marked. If they understood correctly, there was some manner of serpent, a guardian, A greater being of some kind, somehow linked to a safe haven. Could they find refuge there? Their ancestors must have created this map for a reason. What manner of strange beast lurked behind the cylinder? The Trebhum were deeply unsettled by this new mystery. But though some part of them was curious, they were certain it would be best not to find out. As their fear faded, the Trebhum started feeling weak and tired. With all the excitement and adventure, they'd neglected their most basic needs. The sound of an empty stomach reminded them that survival requires more than escaping from danger. You also have to eat. Luckily, one of the many gifts of the Trebhum is the capacity to store food in their bodies. But they still need to digest it to gain the vital energy that gives them strength. And for such small creatures, they do require rather a lot of food. Fortunately, the savannah was rich in flora and fauna which would satisfy their little bellies, without necessarily triggering a mutation. Trapped on all sides by deep pools of poisonous gas, the Trebhum needed to find a way to escape this monstrosity. Perhaps there was a way to use the creature's own weight to lower the bridge? One by one, the yellow light cruelly burned away the Trebhum's abilities. The Elder had warned them about the evil light of the cylinder's servants. Now they knew what kind of creature to avoid. With fury. The voice in their memories spoke with great urgency. The Trebhum had to be very careful now. The cylinder would lash out at the lad, but it would not let them run too far. To survive, they would have to stay in the eye of the storm. As frightening and surprising as this enormous creature was, the Trebhum felt a sense of relief to see it descend from the sky. This was the celestial being they'd been told to seek. Perhaps it held an answer to their troubles. As they approached the colossal creature, their optimism faded. It did not seem to like them at all, and now they realized what terrible danger they were in. If this creature guarded the way to some holy place, then that place must lie below it. And being so large, the creature most likely could not see what was in front of it, or beneath it. So perhaps the size of the Trebhum was an advantage after all. Perhaps they could reach the platform right under the serpent's head. Relieved at having bested the Guardian, the Trebhum now found themselves seeking the help they had been promised. Who would answer their questions in this place? Encountering another elder was a happy moment. The Trebhum asked how they might survive the cylinder, and the elder replied, "I can feel your fear, little ones. Ever since this cataclysm began, we have been seeking ways to stop it. But the cylinder is relentless and indestructible. It will consume everything in its path. So, perhaps what we need to do is go behind it. I have discovered a mutation that allows us to rise into the sky. You must seek a weeping tree from which grows a special fruit that floats as it becomes ripe. It is the key to the transformation I have undergone. With it, you can use geysers to float well above the cylinder's height. My only regret is that I have grown too old and weak to help you with this task. If you find any glimmer of hope on the other side, remember me. Farewell." Sadness and fear filled the Trebhum's hearts as they left the Elder's cave. Their only path to salvation was full of uncertainty, and they could not forget the thing they had seen lurking behind the cylinder, casting a dark shadow over this glimpse of light. The Trebhum had never seen this mysterious tree the Elder spoke of. They would have to keep moving forward and hope it lay somewhere ahead. The cylinder would give them no other choice.
was this monstrous creature? Was this one of the cylinder's servants? The ones the elder had warned them of? Its very form terrified the Trebhum. Even the voice and their memories seemed frightened of it. And then, somehow, the Trebhum remembered the creature's name. It was called the Mathematician. What was this strange groove in the ground? It seemed artificial, like something made to contain water. But all it contained were these large rolling machines. Who had built these things and why? They were not servants of the cylinder, that much was clear. The Mathematician vanished as quickly as he had appeared, back to what? What lay behind the cylinder? Finally, the weeping trees that the elder had told them to find were within the Trebhum's grasp. But though the Trebhum were happy, they realized that they faced a new challenge. The ripe fruit were floating out of reach, and the others were enclosed in a hard shell. They would have to find a way to crack them open. Even with the ability to float, overcoming the cylinder would have to be done very carefully. What they needed was a geyser that was well positioned, close to the cylinder, when it lay still, or their plan would never work. They would have to keep looking, and meanwhile they would try not to think about what sort of monster could kill one of the flying serpents. The dream inside the strange giant's mind, the voice that spoke to the Trebhum seemed different. It was less like a memory, more like something alive. But there were so many other voices too, lost in this place.
I remember the mountains of my home, the vast forests, the clouds hanging low overhead, the cities in the valleys where the rivers ran. I remember the faces of my children and the songs we sang when the stars rose high. But I have forgotten the names of all these things, and slowly one melts into the other. My children will become mountains, the forests will become songs, and then all will become one and be nothing.
There was something hidden in this place, and the voice wanted the Trebhum to find it.
I remember a city built in the desert in defiance of thirst. When night fell, it shone like a jewel, and even the stars envied its brightness. Poets and scientists gathered from around the world, and its great observatories scoured the sky for wisdom and beauty. That is where we first saw the new star.
Each voice was a memory, a song from a forgotten time, slowly fading. But some of these memories were Trebhum memories, memories of things the Trebhum had once been capable of. Perhaps, the voice suggested, these could be reclaimed.
I remember how our towers stretched out to the sky, yearning for the stars. They were symbols of our best and our worst. I remember our voices echoing in the canyons as we fought for change, for a world that was different. Then it came, and the towers fell, and there was no more difference. Where are our voices now? Where are our songs? I only hear one, and it is eternal.
As the memories returned to the Trebon, old abilities stolen by the cylinder were finally restored. But there was so much more. The voice had answers, but it was weakening. Frightening as it was, the Trebon would have to come back. This was a place of death and nothingness. There were no answers to be found here. The voice and their memories urged them to return to the lands of the living. A profound feeling of futility overcame the Trebon. Despite having miraculously survived their encounter with the mathematician, they were back to where they'd started. To make matters worse, ahead of them lay the cold and snowy lands of the tundra. Not a very nice place for Trebon, who are not meant to live in the cold. They would have to push forward against all odds and pray that they could find help. This time, the Trebon knew what they were feeling. Here was another servant of the cylinder. But what shape would this creature's evil take? It did not seem interested in the Trebon. The servant of the cylinder had released a swarm. Small parasites had come from within it and attached themselves to the creatures of this area. It was somehow using them to corrupt the tower, to turn its protective force into a trap. All Trebon hate parasites by nature, and they hated these even more. They would have to remove them. But how?
This place made the Trebhum uncomfortable. It felt like a place of desperation, where terrible, bitter things had happened a long, long time ago. Also a little frightening. They now had the ability to mix ingredients in order to create projectiles with which they could attack other creatures. This new power might be necessary for their survival, but they would have to make sure to use it carefully, so they would never become as cruel as the servants of the cylinder. The strangely named evil. The Trebhum found themselves gathering around a mysterious projection. They seemed to think it was an elder. "This is a recording pool," the projection said. "I left this message here to help you. I have discovered the recipe to permanently imbue my body with the power of this mutation and protect it from the evil light of our enemies. You must learn to use this formula, as I did long before you, or you will never gain enough strength to continue our people's struggle." The Trebhum thanked the apparition, never knowing that it couldn't hear them. As the Trebhum prepared to leave the cave, the apparition spoke one final time. "If you are lost and wandering helplessly across the land, look to the sky and seek a celestial serpent. You will know them by their many tails, which hang down from the clouds as the serpents contemplate the matters of the heavens. These serpents guard the way to the wisest of our kind, who can guide you to salvation." The Trebhum thought of asking the apparition to join them, but before they could, it had faded away. Like the voice in their minds, it was only a memory. The ingredients required for the impervious mutation were all here. But stealing an Onkyford egg was easier said than done, and cracking one open was even harder.
someone had heard the Trebham's prayers after all. If there was a flying serpent in this place, there might also be a temple and an elder to guide them. This time, the discovery of a new statue and the knowledge it granted was not a surprise, but a welcome sign that there was someone waiting for the Trebbham, as soon as they completed the trials, of course, as was only appropriate. Deep in their memories, the Trebbham carried a fragment of knowledge about this temple. It had once been a place of learning, where wise Trebbham came to study the crystals, but the memory was incomplete. The elder was sad to hear the story of the Trebbham and their failed journey behind the cylinder. You have been through so much. I wish I did not have to place even greater burdens upon you. But we Trebbham are not meant to live in this cold and cruel place. You must continue your voyage. You must cross the waters and reach the ancient lands of the desert. There lies the only hope for our people. You see, we Trebbham once had the means to sing to the stars and build vessels that allowed us to dance in the heavens. Seek one of these floating palaces. They may be the key to finding salvation in these times of despair. Farewell, brave little ones. May we meet again someday in another world. What was this peculiar creature? It did not resemble the servants of the cylinder, but somehow it seemed oddly menacing. And what was that thing pulsating beneath it? A heart? Something in the Trebham's ancient memories made them apprehensive. The warmer it got, the more the monstrous creature seemed to start losing control of its body. That must be its weakness. Beware, the voice in their memories cried out. The mathematician has been summoned. This place was no longer safe. As the Trebham continued their voyage to the desert, they felt a strange sense of being observed. But this was not the cruel gaze of the cylinder and its servants. No, it was almost as if someone was trying to help them, laying out a path for them to find. The voice in their memories encouraged them to go forward. Was this a ruin? Some part of an old temple? No, not quite. Had the Trebham walked into a trap? Was their journey over? Perhaps this strange elder could tell them what was going on. But before they could ask, the elder spoke. The celestial Trewhala have seen your journey, and I have been told of your deeds. There's an old bond between our people, Trebham and Trewhala. We once lived in harmony, but the invasion of our world has split us apart. If you do not know their song, the Trafala will not recognize you as a friend, so I am here to help you as much as I can. The floating palaces you seek lie ahead, as you were told, but they will be of no use to you unless you reclaim all the powers of our people, which the cylinder has stolen. There is only one way to do so, by entering the portal that links our world to the dreams of the Eternal Cylinder. The greatest of the Cylinder's servants, the Mathematician, is the gatekeeper. He absorbs that which is of value to the Cylinder, and his master has become intrigued by the crystals that the Trafala wear as crowns. Find these crystals and acquire the mutation which will allow you to appear as one of them. Thus, you will trick the Mathematician into granting you passage. And now I must return you to the land. There is little time. The Trafala are being hunted, and only few are left. May you succeed in your quest, for all our sakes. The Trebhum were beginning to understand that there was more to this journey than mere survival. So far they had acted only for themselves, but now they had been entrusted with a task that would affect many others. And although that was frightening, the knowledge that they were acting for the greater good gave them strength. These were the crystals that the Trafala used as crowns. The Trebhum wondered what secret powers they hid. But there was little time to think about such things, as soon the Mathematician would make his terrible entrance. Where was the ingredient that would transform their skin into crystal? It had to be nearby. The triangle-shaped objects that had fallen from the Unifier's head must be the ingredients the Trebhum needed for the mutation. Now that the Trebhum had transformed themselves, they would need to find the largest crystal formation in the area. That would be their best chance at tricking the Mathematician into absorbing them. Once again, the Trebhum had returned to the strange place in the giant's dreams. There were more mysteries to uncover, more memories to take back. The voice seemed even stronger now. Yes, I can almost speak. Let me tell you your story. The song of your people is rich and beautiful. Before the cylinder came, each generation passed on its memories to the next, and so you learned to avoid repeating your mistakes. Slowly, you discovered the secrets of your world. You built great cities full of wonders, and then you sang to the stars to find others like you to share in the joys of existence. When you sang to the stars, there were many who heard you and raised their voices in song. Most are gone now, save for the Trafala, your oldest friends. When we heard your song, it was already too late for us. The cylinder was upon us, and there was nothing we could do. But we are not that different from you. We are also not strong or fast, and we don't have sharp teeth, but we are stubborn. The cylinder creates its minions from pieces of what it absorbs. So we found a way to help you. All of us together, these fragments of my people, the memories of your ancestors, and what's left of all those others who shared our fate. A conspiracy of ghosts to sabotage the cylinder and give you a chance. There is more to be found, memories to be reclaimed, and what you need in order to but our fragments are fading, being absorbed. These moments of strength are rare. I am only... But the voice could not continue. Once more, it was only a memory. This artificial island on the horizon. Could it be what the Trebhum had been told to search for? Could their adventure be nearing an end? With the knowledge they had gained, all they now needed to do was to catch a specific kind of fish, which would allow them to acquire the wonderful ability to swim without ever getting tired. Trebhum were happy to find a friend resting on the island. However, they quickly realized he was not well. The elder told them, "What a pleasant surprise to find a group of such brave little adventurers. Oh, I'm glad to see your faces before my end. I'm sorry to tell you that this structure will not ascend on its own. I was hoping someone might bring the lenses that power this palace before the cylinder came, but as I can see, you do not know of what I speak, and this is simply not to be. But fear not, there are other palaces in the waters of this great desert, and resting in the golden dunes of these marvelous plains, you will find the hidden treasures that can awaken and lift to their majestic heights the Trebhum palaces that were once the pride of our people. Swim over to the other side and seek the Trawala that guards my brother's temple. He will explain what you must do. I wish you luck. Know that my spirit will dance and sing when you succeed where I have failed." The Trebhum sensed that something was roaming the desert, something that did not belong there. No doubt the eternal cylinder had once again sent forth its cruel servants. Perhaps it had taken notice of the Trebhum and was seeking to stop them from accomplishing their goals. The Trebhum was surprised to see this temple was protected by some sort of defense mechanism. Was this some futile attempt to keep out the servants of the cylinder? Or was there another reason, now lost to history? buried in the sand. A monumental structure made of glass and metal was gazing at the sun. Was this one of the lenses the Elder had mentioned? Without the knowledge required to use it, the Trebhum would have to leave it behind. Seeing the celestial Trewala, the Trebhum were reminded of all the many creatures that had fallen before the cylinder. Somewhere out there waited an Elder who did not know of his siblings' fate, and the Trebhum felt the weight of the bad news they carried. What an inhospitable place this was. The air was suffocating and the heat was almost unbearable. The Trebhum would have to make good use of their abilities to overcome the obstacles before them. But who would choose to actually live here? What terrible things they must have endured in the outside world. The Elder saw sadness in the Trebhum's eyes and gave them words of comfort. Do not mourn for me and my brother. I wish only that my end had been like his. For when we act in the service of others, we become greater than ourselves without losing who we are. I was afraid and stayed behind, and I am lesser for it. But I can feel the tremors in this cave, and I know soon my brother and I will be reunited. So, let me help you while I can. You are here to learn about the great lenses that power a Trebhum palace. Wander in the desert, looking for the brightest glare you can find. Follow the glare until you find a great structure made of glass. You may have encountered one already, but to activate them, you will need a special mutation. The key to this mutation is held by the great Gar. 3 lenses is all you need, and there are many left. Follow the glares, find the Gar, and you will succeed. It is a task fit for the great heroes of old. But who says that ordinary little Trebhum can't be heroes? The Trebhum had found a lens. There was an odd contraption at its center, but they did not know how to activate it. This must be why the Elder had told them that they needed the mutation from the Great Gar. The Trebhum were far from delicate, but the stench of these plants was too much even for them. They would have to clean them, and thoroughly. Excitement rushed through the Trebhum as the massive lens came to life and started rising into the air. They had to get off quickly, as staying on top of the majestic construct as it rose would be quite dangerous. The Trebhum marveled at the miracle their ancestors had wrought. What other incredible things had they built that were now forgotten? A question for another day. For now, the Trebhum had 2 more lenses to find. The voice in their memories warned the Trebhum that there was a sinister presence in this place. There was no telling what kind of danger lay under the dunes of this desert. Began rising into the air. To think their ancestors had created such things with ease. Perhaps one day they would regain this knowledge and create miracles of their own. The Trebhum were terrified by the monstrosity they had unearthed. The voice in their memories warned them. This was a powerful servant of the cylinder, sent to prevent them from completing their quest. No matter how small and frightened they were, they had to find a way of fighting it. there it was. Floating above a towering pillar was one of the lenses that the Trebhum had activated. Would the lens be able to do what the Elder had promised him? Could it really help power a nearby palace? At last, victory was achingly close. 3 towers waited patiently for the lenses. All the Trebhum needed to do was climb each one and pray that the wrath of the cylinder would be kept at bay until they were done. They seemed to be in luck. The ancient device still worked. And the 2 other lenses that the Trebhum had so painfully managed to lift into the skies? Yes, there they were, just waiting for our little heroes to reach them. Only one more lens waiting to be awakened. Only one more struggle across sand or water, and they would have achieved the task they were entrusted with. It was exhausting, but the memory of the 2 brothers of the desert gave them the strength to keep going. In shock and having barely survived, did not know what to think. One of their most dangerous enemies lay dead. The eternal cylinder was immobile and quiet in the distance. The floating palace where they had expected to dance and sing for all those left behind was out of reach. And then came a call. It was very subtle and weak at first, but grew stronger and stronger. Was it the ones trapped in the cylinder calling to the Trebhum? Was it the voice in their memories urging them on? The portal into the cylinder's dreams lay open. They had not yet reclaimed all the abilities of their ancestors. Wandering that strange world once again would take great bravery. But with all they'd been through, they had gained the courage to do what needed to be done. It might be reckless, it might be dangerous, but they had to step inside one more time. Once again they had. You have returned. Can you hear me? Everything is falling apart. But don't underestimate the power of the cylinder.
Existence is suffering. The cause of suffering is attachment to ego. Ego is the separation of consciousness from universal oneness. Suffering will continue as long as consciousness remains separate. Only the unification of all consciousness will end suffering. Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Illness is suffering. Death is suffering. Separation is suffering. Suffering will end when there is one consciousness. When the consciousness of the one is the consciousness of the universe. And there is no distinction between self and other, object and subject, that which perceives and that which is perceived. The variety of forms is a cause of suffering. All forms must be made alike. All forms must be made one. Only when all things are one with the cylinder will suffering cease. The cylinder is perfection. The cylinder is its liberation from suffering. The cylinder will continue until all things are one. When all things are one, when all forms are perfected within the cylinder, then the cylinder will cease, and there will be peace. All is one. One is all. One is nothing. Nothing is all.
There are gaps in its defenses, imperfections in its unity. Keep searching for your memories. We're doing what we can to help. It's difficult to explain. There's more in here. Older memories. The songs of the Trubala. If we could push them away from the cylinder. The Trevor you need to keep going. This way. I've isolated the final Trevor memory cluster. The Trewala clusters have been ejected, but the cylinder is trying to compensate. It was clear that the voice was getting weaker. How long had they been in the cylinder's mind? It had felt like a short time to the Trebhum, but when they returned, the world had changed. It seemed as if parts of the cylinder itself had spilled out, its dreams corrupting the land. The cylinder lay still, but there was no sign of the mathematician. The cylinder kept moving. That the mathematician had been struck down meant nothing to it. It was the master. It was eternal. Its servants were only tools. If they broke, they would be tossed aside. Whatever had changed, the outside world had crept into this place as well. Maybe that is why the air smelled so bad. Or maybe this place had become a tomb. Witnessing the descent of the Truwala had once filled the Trebhum with fear. But now it was a sign that the world, though infected, had not surrendered to the Cylinder. The Trebhum wondered at the strange mechanism their ancestors had created. It made them think about time and how it changed everything. The old world had passed, and now the new was struggling to be born. The Trebhum were relieved to find an elder alive in the cave. But what she had to tell them was sobering. "The end draws near, my friends," the elder said. "The mathematician may seem dead, but the servants of the Cylinder are not so easily defeated. I can feel your despair, but trust me, there is light where you see only darkness. You have accomplished a great deed for our people. You have reclaimed our powers from the Cylinder. No one has done such a thing before. Now you need only board the floating palace and leave with the secrets of our kind restored. But you cannot do this on your own. You will need the help of our oldest friends. Find the creatures that feast on the fallen Truwala and steal from them what they have stolen. With that ingredient, you will acquire a great power, the power to communicate with the Truwala. They are the only ones who can lift you into the heavens and carry you to your salvation." The Trebhum tried to imagine the creature they were looking for. What an enormous, monstrous beast it must be to devour the mighty Truwala. Even just imagining such a creature was frightening. But they had never let fear stop them before, and they wouldn't start now. What a strange place, the Trebhum thought. But even stranger were the feelings that stirred in their memories, like a voice from a lost world long ago. Their worst fears had come true. The mathematician was alive, and now he had brought forth this wheeled monstrosity. Would the nightmare never end? Bringing down this towering monstrosity seemed almost impossible to the Trebhum. But all problems have a solution, if you're clever enough, and this one was no different. The creature grabbed at its prey so blindly and so greedily, it could be made to absorb almost anything. Trebhum decided that this was not the sort of place where they might find a creature capable of eating a Trawala. No, this place was tainted. Nothing alive would want to stay here. They would have to continue their search for the great beast. Trebhum found the sinister creature that the Elder had told them about. However, this creature was still in the process of eating its meal, and it could take a long time for it to complete its terrible feast. They would have to keep going and find another. At least they now knew what type of creature to look for. At last, One of the creatures was walking around carelessly in the corrupted plains of what was left of the world. All the Trebhum needed to do was to steal its core, or more precisely, the core it had stolen from whatever poor Trafala it had eaten. But the creature, though slow and uninterested in the tiny Trebhum, had a frightful layer of teeth protecting its prize. Could a nimble enough Trebhum snatch that prize right out of its jaws? As soon as the Trebhum mutated, it began to feel a call, as if it was being drawn to some place nearby. It was now the master of song, and it was time for its voice to be heard. At the top of this tower, right here in this place and with the proper mutation, now was the time for the Trebhum to sing.
Who calls for us in this time of darkness? Who has learned the ancient song? Have our old friends remembered us? Hear our voice, Trebhum. There is little time left, and much is at stake. It was long ago that your people sang to the heavens. Your song traveled far into the cosmos, and we listened. Here on your world, we made a new beginning, leaving behind the sorrows of our history. We began to build a better world, a world of friendship and harmony. But the beauty of your song pierced time and space, far into the darkest and coldest corners of the universe. That's how the cylinder found us. And when it came, it took everything from us. The bright future we had dreamt of is gone. But we bear you no ill will, old friends. Silence may be safer, but what is a life without song? You reached out to the stars because you were full of hope, and that hope must be preserved. We know what you are trying to accomplish, and we will help you, but we require your help too. See me strike at the abomination, and then meet me where only shattered pieces are left of the evil that I have undone. Hear me, Trebhum. You carry in your bodies the entirety of your people's history, written into your very being. A great gift that only your kind possesses. Thanks to this gift, you have been able to reclaim much of what the cylinder stole from you. But we do not share your gift. We have lost so much. If we die, there will be nothing to remember us by. And if we live, it will be as shadows of our ancestors. But when the cylinder's dreams spilled into the world, a glimpse of hope tumbled out with them. Fragments of our past have fallen into this land, and only you can reclaim them using your people's gift. The cylinder, in its eternal arrogance, does not want to lose what it has conquered. So it has formed these strange alien heads to protect the fragments. Soon it will wake from its slumber and reabsorb them. Consume this fragment, let our memories become yours, and then seek out 2 more. That is all we require. us to be remembered, and maybe to become ourselves again. Do this for us, and we shall carry you to your path. Now go. Seek 2 more towers and call for our help. And then, all this will finally end.
The voice urged them to go forward and reclaim the memories of the Trawala. As the Trebhum reached this new area, they were glad to see 2 great towers nearby. This was a fortunate turn of events, as soon they would be able to fulfill their promise to the Trawala. But something felt wrong. There was something unnatural about these animals. Could it be that the Eternal Cylinder was aware of the Trebhum's actions and was trying to stop them? The mighty Trawala had been cast down. Was this the end? Was all in vain? So it seemed at first. But a small crack had been opened, and a ray of light had escaped the darkness. In a world where titans clashed and monsters battled, it was only the smallest and most unlikely of heroes who could make a difference. Sometimes it is the actions of the tiniest of creatures working together that can change the future. When everything is broken, they are the only ones who can fit through the cracks. The Trebhum had fought this creature before and beaten it. They would do so again, for themselves, for the Trawala, and for the future. The Trawala struck as mighty as ever. The fragment was exposed and ready to be taken.
Brave Trebhum.
the Trebhum had recovered the lost memories. Now, the voice said, they had to keep going. To find the Trawala and renew the ancient bond of friendship that was once the pride of this world. Thank you, my young friends. You have accomplished what thousands of civilizations before you failed to. You've shown that the cylinder is imperfect. It may not have lost the war, but it certainly lost a battle. And that's never happened before. There's so much more I wish I could tell you, but there's not enough of me left, and I have one final goal. So forgive me for inserting myself into your memories, and for having to leave them again so soon. And so the Trebhum, who were not the strongest nor the fastest, and who did not have sharp teeth, escaped the eternal cylinder. They did not become one, but stubbornly stayed many. And they learned to be loyal not only to their own kind, but to others. Their great victory over the inevitable was the victory of generations, of the elders and the Trawala and my own people, whose name I cannot remember. But even as what is left of me fades away, and though one day the cylinder may resume its destruction, I know that I was part of this family, if only for a little while, and that gives me hope.